Testing, 1, 2, 3. Okay, we're on. Welcome everybody to the RNCC meeting. It's Monday, June 9th, 7:05. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Garland, would you like to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, before we begin, I'd like to say that this meeting will be video recorded. Remember to be respectful of our speakers and to ask questions that are on topic. Mr. Lee will not be here for KCR TV. Filling in will be Brian Bland. I appreciate you coming in, Brian. So there is reverb. I don't know if anybody else is catching that.
Yeah, we can. It's coming over here. I don't know why.
Okay. So we'll move on to announcements. If you have an announcement, we'll move on to introductions. Please state your name, rank, neighborhood council. Please report anything from your council if you have anything to report. So we'll start out to my left, Garland.
Hello, my name is Garland Ellis. I'm a member at large of the board. I'm also the president of the Richmond Annex Neighborhood Council.
That's it? All right. My name is Ardo Rentila. I'm the president of the Fairmead Hilltop Neighborhood Council. We are going to forego our meetings until September. I will be on vacation out of the country in July and August, so we will commence in September. I'm also the chair of West County Wastewater District, and I wanted to say that I was able to go to the Mayor's Conference Tuesday, and we had Contra Costa Clerk Recorder Kristen Connery there, and I want to introduce her and bring her to the RNCC maybe in July to tell everybody and talk about the difference in the election process we have here in Richmond now that Measure J has passed. So it's important we all know that we're going to have to get a head start on voting. I think the first election will be June, and then the two finalists will move on to November. So also wanted to announce that West Contra Costa Unified School District has a new school superintendent, Cheryl Cotton, Richmond's own. She's supremely qualified, and we're excited about that. Also, we're looking forward to Juneteenth. I will ask Lori Hart if she can fill in for our PIO officer.
Sure.
Okay, well, we'll wait till we get to the reports. And then I did want to let people know that West Contra Costa, West County Wastewater District, we will be looking at infrastructure, and we are hiring someone to do a rate study. So we are looking at possibly raising the rates in 2026. So I have something here all written out. So let me just read it for you. So on May 21st, 2025, the West County Wastewater Board of Directors approved a contract with Bartle Wells Associate to conduct a 5-year sewer service rate study. This study will help determine the rate adjustments needed to support the continued operations, maintenance, capital improvements, regulatory compliance, and annual debt obligations while ensuring the reliability to our sewer systems. Any proposed rate changes will be provided in writing at least 45 days before the public hearing as required under Prop 218. Notices will be expected to be mailed out the second quarter of 2026, and I will share another update at that time as time approaches. So unfortunately, everybody's raising their rates, and it's getting a little expensive to live here in the Bay Area. So that is my report, and moving on, Jan.
Hi, Jan Mignoni, President of the North and East Neighborhood Council and the Vice President for the RNCC. We had our meeting is the fourth Wednesday of the month, so we had our last meeting. We were hoping to talk about Wendell Park because that's gonna start being totally rehabbed, probably end of June, beginning of July, they'll start the rehab there. We also had our dumpster day on Saturday. We had pretty good attendance. We do need to adjust a few little things, because if you tell people 12 o'clock, then people show up at 12 o'clock thinking they can still dump stuff. So we need to either say 11:30 or until the dumpsters are full, and then you got a little, ways to do. And there's we were not notified that people couldn't use any kind of business vehicle to bring things in, and Julian handled it, but we had a few issues with that, because if it's not on the postcard, 4,752 households don't know about it. We're just planning our events for the Neighbor to Neighbor grant and our picnic, so we have a lot going on.
Hi, Margarita Mitas, member of the RNCC and president of Marina Bay Neighborhood Council. We will be having our quarterly meeting this Wednesday, second week of the quarter. And a particular speaker is going to be the Department of Toxic Substance Control, which some of you may have heard, but they have actually issued an order to clean up a 6-acre former Blair Southern Pacific landfill, which apparently has radioactive materials. So they will be at our meeting, and the public's going to have an opportunity to ask questions. So we'll hopefully get some understanding of how that cleanup is going to take place. There's also information on their site about a public meeting more widely for the public to attend. And we are also working on our end-to-end event, August 9th. It'll be at Marina Bay Park, and it's for District 5 and anybody else in Richmond that would like to attend. And that's it.
Good evening. My name is Lori Hart. I am the Vice President for the RNCC. I am the Secretary for the RNCC and the Vice President for the Portchester Village Neighborhood Council. Last month at Portchester, we had our third Neighbor to Neighbor event. It was a Seed to Harvest mural reveal, and it was fabulous. We're starting to outgrow our center. I guess that's a good problem to have, but we had a documentary and everyone couldn't fit in there. But the city came and they helped, and it was a wonderful, wonderful event. We also did a dump last month as Jan, and we encountered one individual, but we were able to handle it, who had the business truck. So we just, we went along with whatever the city instructed us to do, and we got that done. We are planning our last Neighbor to Neighbor event. This will be the fourth one. It's going to be a Day of the Dead / Halloween celebration. We haven't finalized the date. We will this month with the board. And so we've been out there busy in Portchester, looking forward to this event and looking forward to be able to join some of the other events. Also, as Ardo mentioned, I don't know what you guys are doing on June 21st. But what you should be doing is coming out to Nickel Park to experience one of the best Juneteenth events around time. That's Saturday, June 21st. It's going to be fabulous. We have some special guests. We have Alvon Johnson, who is a blues, R&B rhythm man that's been around for years. And then we have 3 TOB, which are the 3 Tony Original Band. And they are three members that actually helped launch Tony, Tony, Tony. So you don't want to miss it. It's going to be jam-packed. It's going to be fun. We have a kids side, the youth. They didn't get a lot of publicity last year, but I spent time over there, and it was equally fun. So get ready for June 21st. Get your children ready. Come out, celebrate with us, and we look forward to seeing you there.
Thank you. Do we have anybody online?
No.
No hands up?
Well, no, we have very few online, which is interesting.
Everybody's on vacation.
Well, there you go. Cordell, would you like to come up? And before we get to Cordell, this was left up here. I swear it's not mine. So happy Gay Pride.
I tell you, I'm having a personal summer.
She may need it.
That was from Vice Mayor Cepeda.
Is that, okay, well, we need to get it back up here if it's Cepeda's.
Oh, Lord.
Okay.
Okay. I don't know. Are we doing introductions?
Yes, please.
So I am Cordell Hendler with Park Plaza Neighborhood Council, and we are on a summer hiatus, so we won't meet until September. So that's one. And then at our last Point Richmond Neighborhood Council meeting, we had Bisa French that came and talked to us about some of the trends that we have, crime trends, and so I think we're meeting this month. So, and then what else? The Pullman Neighborhood Council meeting is this Saturday on June 14th at 2 o'clock at Seaport Church, and let's see, what else? I guess that's pretty much it.
Thank you. I do see Laurel Park in the audience.
Good evening, Neighborhood Council, Coordinating Council, and staff. The name is Ahmad Anderson, representing Laurel Park. Nothing really to present. We did have our Neighbor to Neighbor. It was an outstanding event. Of course, we're thankful for public safety was there, as well as Kaiser and Lifelong. They contributed to the event as well. We're thankful for the mayor and also Councilperson Wilson for showing up, and it's greatly appreciated. And continue to do what you do, because you are the voice and the vein of the community.
Thank you. Moving on, I guess we'll get to the presenters, and from Congressman Garamendi's office, we're delighted to introduce Harpreet Sandhu. And I'd like to add, the reason I wanted to invite the Congressman's office here is that a lot of people in Richmond don't understand or don't know what the Congressman does and how it relates to the city of Richmond. So we want to enlighten people.
Thank you, Chair, and good evening. Good evening. Again, Harpreet Singh Sandhu. I'm the Senior District Representative of Congressman Garamendi, right here in this building, our office is. And thank you for the invitation. And but before I go, I just want to briefly give a little history about the Congressman. Congressman obviously grew up right here in the Northern California, but he's in the 8th Congressional District when it got redistricted, which contains Contra Costa and Solano County. Congressman was raised in McCulmy Hills, California, where he earned later on his BA degree from UC Berkeley. I know there's some bears in the house. And his MBA from Harvard Business School. After graduating, he and his wife Patty served in Peace Corps in Ethiopia in 1966 to 1968. In 1974, Congressman was elected to the California State Legislature, where he was the first to authorize solar, wind, and energy conservation tax in the nation. He also authored the Rural Health Act of California to ensure that underserved residents in rural communities had access to health care. And later on, he served 4 terms on the California State Senate, where he developed an agenda to advance California economy, in addition to introducing legislation that would become California's assault weapon ban, the first of its kind in the nation, and which is still effective today. In 1991 to 95, again from 2000 to 2006, Garamendi served as the insurance commissioner. then later appointed as Deputy Secretary to the Interior in 1995 under President Clinton, where he spearheaded the project to restore environmental services in San Francisco Bay Area, the Sacramento Delta, and the Sacramento and San Joaquin Rivers. In 2007, Garamendi was elected to Lieutenant Governor of the state of California, where he also served as the chair of the Land State Commission. And finally, he was elected to U.S. House of Representatives in a special election in 2006, where he has served since, now in his 8th term. And he continues to work hard for Californians and advance policies to create jobs, to protect Social Security, Medicare, and reduce economic disparity. As the top Democrat on the House Armed Services Subcommittee on Readiness, Congressman works to ensure current and former service members are treated justly. He has enacted legislation empowering the military to combat climate change, improve health care for service members, and provide greater legal recourse and care for those who are harmed by unhealthy conditions during military service consistently, and advocates for veterans and has supported every bill in the House designed to help veterans and their families. Since his first day in Congress, Garamendi has served on the House Transportation Infrastructure Committee, and he continues to use this position on this committee to modernize America's infrastructure, produce millions of good-paying union jobs, revitalizing California water resiliency efforts. As a longtime California congressman, continues to call Northern California his home and treasures the moment spent enjoying with natural beauty, surrounded by his wife Patty and their family of 6 children and 14 grandchildren. So as a district, Congressional District 8, which just got re-changed, it encompasses from here, from Kensington, all the way to Fairfield and to east on towards Antioch. Congressmen, we have 3 offices in Fairfield, Vallejo, and here in Richmond itself. So some of the things we always ask, what does the congressman help with? It is a federal legislative body, and so hence it works with federal agencies, that we work with federal agencies, so if there's any need for anybody's in our constituents and otherwise in the area, in Social Security, Veterans Affairs, Immigration, HUD, Education, Armed Services. And some of the things that we do work on is to provide Service Academy nomination, since he serves on the Armed Services. Service Academy is where high schoolers can go on to serve, if elected by either the Vice President can nominate individuals or members of Congress. And they must serve 5 years, but once they graduate, they are commissioned as officers in the military. So a couple of things that happen in fundings. If I passed on to you 2 different newsletters that you may have, it talks about some of the funding that has happened while he has been in this district. So overall, almost $13.5 million in fundings in local affordable housing, transportation, infrastructure, environmental and early childhood education projects have come into the 8th Congressional District. Some of the things that are close to us, at least if I may talk about our region here, a few months ago, Garamendi, we, the city, received $15,920 in HUD, Affordable Housing Resiliency to Climate Hazard, which is affected at the Pullman Apartments. As many of you know, they've been built many, many, many years ago, and now with this $15.9 million, they will be able to refix them and bring them to modernization. Also, some of the people may use Highway 37, almost $20 million were brought there. And along with, just recently, we also had $5.9 million that was brought into city on the 580 cross protecting of our infrastructures on the roads here in Richmond. Some of the other things that happen is, in the brochure, you'll see a page that has a QR code which cities and others can apply for grants the White House grants, and then, of course, our city has been, Richmond, if I may say so, have been affected by the Inflation Reduction Act funding opportunities. So the two Q cars have a source of funding that people can apply for, but they must encompass in one of the departments. There's a criteria for it. And in the White House grants, before, sadly, this new administration, there were almost $500 billion of grants that were available. And as you all know and have heard, many of the grants have been taken back by this current administration. The other form of funds that happen is our community project funding. The community project funding is where cities, 501Cs, may apply to congressmen projects that they feel the congressman should fund. These were the old time were called earmarks. And so now I call it project funding. So that is something that happens. And sadly, last year in Congress, they eliminated 501Cs to be able to apply for funding. So of 100 plus applications that we received, half of them were organizations who were 501Cs, whose monies go back and affect our communities. So Congress, under the leadership of the Republicans, took away that criteria. This year's budget, as you know, from 25 has yet to been passed the Senate yet. It finally got to 25, only the House has passed it, it's in the Senate. So last year's monies that the congressman brought to the city, they just took it all out. They said, no community project funding is going to anybody in Congress. So sadly, this year application for 2026, many of the applicants have, again, put monies into, request money for it. The previous years, I would like to say that some of the things that we're locally maybe familiar with that came in the community project funding, the city of San Pablo asked for a replacement of one of the bridges, and they were given $850,000. The Contra Costa trails that encompass down here, they received $900,000 in funding. Also, the Giant Road Affordable Complex, if you go by on Giant Road, they received $1.66 million that was requested of the congressman. Also, the city of Hercules, in their transportation hub, received $850,000. The Contra Costa DA's Victim Services received $960,000. So in that brochure, you will see a map that shows some of the monies that have come into different cities around in the surrounding around us. So hopefully this year, the past year budget, of course, it took away all the funding from Congress. Hopefully the 2026 budget will be hopefully approved and we will be able to bring back. Now, what I've heard is that hopefully if the Congress changes, Congress has a right to change its own rules. So hopefully they can go back to where the 501Cs may apply for monies along with other monies as well. Prior to 2 years ago, Congress used to have at least $25 million that would come back to a district. They cut to about $13 million. So everywhere for the last 2 years, they've cut fundings that come to the cities and here specifically to all our cities here as well. I'm sure you've got quite a few questions. If you have questions, I'm happily for it. But now some of the good things that we do have is also that we do is Women of the Year, and that usually happens in September, October. I believe many of our own Richmonders have been members of that. There's also art competition for high schools, and where they submit art that gets judged. And matter of fact, this week the person who was the winner of the art contest, which will be displayed at the U.S. Capitol, and the families get to go free flight and accommodation from all members of Congress districts, will be displayed in the Capitol, and there's other arts that are for the congressional office and the district office as well. We also, of course, provide many accommodations as requested for any ceremonies or somebody's passing away that people can request of the congressman. So these are some of the good things we can do in the community as well. I would encourage to please reach out to our offices, all three of them, and and you can call on our office, and also look at the information that we have on website to the newsletters, just as this one is, to subscribe to it so you can get all the information that you may wish to get and see all the bills that are moving forward in Congress that the congressman supports. And of course, we get calls all the time on opinions on bills that are being presented, and we tally them. The city of Richmond, one of the immigration, if I might take, we had over, in just our office, over 900 different cases that were submitted for our services in this area. And majority of them were immigration, Social Security, veteran services. So that is when you have something with the government, federal government, you write a privacy release, and then we contact the agencies to present your problem to them. And matter of fact, just today, somebody whose back pays were not paid for, a young lady whose husband had died, and there's monies weren't given to him, and she just received $83,000 in back services. And these cases are all happening all the time. So sometimes you have federal cases that are on IRS side, Social Security, veteran services. So if there is a problem, we humbly request to our public and constituents to please contact our office. Now, if they happen to be cases that are not for federal, we will, of course, allow and tell them it's a city, or is it a county, or is it a assembly or state centered, and then we redirect those services to them as well. So we are open all the time from 9 to 5 here at this office, as other offices as well. So thank you for giving the opportunity, and I'd love to have some questions if you have any, which I can perhaps answer, as long as they're not about the budget, because as you know, the budget, but we do know there are substantial cuts that are going to happen in Medicare, Medicaid, in education, and so forth. And of course, DIEs is all the things are happening under that, and also the sanctuary cities that are happening, that this administration has threatened to take away funding, which Richmond is also a city that has passed that resolution as well.
Thank you. And I would humbly want to thank you and Congressman Garamendi's office for helping us honor our 3 neighborhood council presidents during Black History Month. That was very gracious of you, and we appreciate it deeply. So are there any questions up here?
Harpreet, I know that I've had the opportunity to sit in some of Congressman Garamendi's town halls. One, when is the next town hall? And can you also speak about when you have centenarians, people turning 100 years old, how people can get in contact with you so they can receive a resolution, please?
Absolutely. Town halls. So Congressman has held a couple of phone town halls. The previous one that he held, there were over 14,900 people on that town hall that were there, and of course people asked a question. Next one that it is coming up, and we are delighted that it will be on July 2nd, right here at Richmond Auditorium. It may change, but right now, as far as I know, I shouldn't say, but it will be on July 2nd. And the congressman will be here along with Supervisor Joya as well, holding that town hall as well. Into the congressional accommodations, yes, they can always contact our office, and we are always willing to provide those. It doesn't have to be centenarians, but you can have somebody who's turning whatever age, and people who perhaps are retiring from a job well done for 30, 20 years, whatever, and of course for any other reasons as well. You can always ask for the accommodations. It does go through our DC office to make sure that we follow the rules under the Congress, and ethics is very strict on us, what we can and cannot do.
Thank you. Any other questions?
A question. Thank you for that presentation. You mentioned that the 2026 budget, when is that? When would that be reviewed?
It's up front of the Senate right now.
It is.
It passed the House. The Senate will look at it. And of course, we all hear news that some senators may not pass this, others may. Sadly, what we've also seen is many of the Congress members of the Congress had said, we will not vote for this. Eventually, they ended up voting for it. We don't know what will happen. Hopefully, it will change, and then we'll go back to Congress again before it's approved. And they are looking for the second week of July to pass it, this big, beautiful bill that they say that will cut billions of dollars from our people who need it most.
I think it's hard to envision what that magnitude of, cuts will look like for the district or just, for us all. Is there any forecast on what you might be able to say tonight on, if this bill doesn't get passed? Because they're huge cuts for our district.
So the bill at the moment is 1,000 pages long, and we cannot tell what's going to happen, because when it goes back, they look at it and people do all sorts of things. But we know it will not be good. Just as we mentioned, Congress has taken where $25 million used to come to our district, 13. Before 501Cs were able to apply, they've taken that away. So they've taken every step to take away the funding that comes back to the city. And so unfortunately, I can't say because we haven't seen the final, the bill pass.
Fair. Thank you.
Any questions out in the audience?
Are there any questions online?
No? I do have a question. I spoke to you earlier, and as you know, neighborhood councils and the RNCC are supposed to be apolitical, and I spoke to you about, things that are going on in Los Angeles today and over the weekend. Is there anything that the congressman's office can comment on that shed some light on?
Yes. What we will say is that we must adhere to the policies and do not interfere. But we have every constitutional rights to be able to have our first constitution, our second constitution, to be able to go out there and protest, and peacefully protest. And that should not be taken away. And sometimes what is considered peaceful versus what happened on January 6th looks in different views by this president. But they are taking heavy-handed on ways of doing things in LA. We wish it would not be the case, but everybody has the right to do that, to be able to go express their concerns and to represent their views.
Thank you. Well, no more questions. I want to thank you for your time, and, go ahead.
Just one last thing.
Yes,
I
please.
do want to, just for those who are viewing, the telephone number that can reach us is 707-438-1822. And that is our local number that connects to all the offices, 707-438-1822. And if they wish to contact the DC office, is 202-225-1880. And it's also on the back of the brochures. So we look forward to being able to serve this community at all times.
Thank you, I appreciate it. And I imagine you could also email Congressman Garamendi?
Yes, sir. That can be done as well at the Garamendi, GARAMNDI.house.gov. And on our website, there are many different drop boxes that if you wish for the congressman to come speak or any other services required, they're also on there as well on the website. Please take advantage of that.
Thank you. Appreciate everything you guys do for the city of Richmond and the county. Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night. So,
Housekeeping. My apologies to those who were on the line. So if you didn't get to speak earlier and you would like to, please raise your hand. I know I have Philip and I have Nadia who asked to speak. Philip?
Hey, y'all. I just wanted to check in with you. I've been pretty busy on Mondays and fill you in on what's happening at the Point Richmond Neighborhood Council. Our next meeting will be Wednesday, June 25th. It's always on Zoom. and we will have Hillel Handum, who works for Public Works, to discuss the gridlock and backup that happens in Point Richmond on the freeway, and the city and Caltrans attempt to eliminate this sort of situation where people are coming off the freeway and just getting gridlocked in our community. It's led to some incredibly dangerous situations here. I also want to thank and comment on the fact that this morning I drove for a generous amount of time with Lieutenant Donovan Dacius as a follow-up with last month's meeting with Chief French to show him some of the traffic kind of emergency situations we're having, dangerous situations, and our ongoing problem with getting the city and the county to acknowledge and communicate with one another concerning evacuation routes, including Public Works continuous or continuing installation of bike lanes in evacuation routes. So I'm grateful for the police department for that. We are also working on our final Neighbor to Neighbors, and that will include free dance lessons being offered, a series of 4 free dance classes. There is a series of 3 free art classes, which is connecting people in our community who do good work and artists to try to make portraits of those people and acknowledge them. There will be our National Night Out event. And if we have money left over, we're hoping to do a giveaway to Washington Elementary School, which does serve underserved community. So that's what's going on with the PRNC. I'm glad to be back, and we're hoping to find an officer who can come in my stead on the Mondays that I'm unavailable. And thank you all for being on the dais and doing a great job.
Thank you, Philip. We'll now have Vicky. Vicky, can you announce yourself? You don't have a last name up here.
I'm trying to unmute.
There you go. You're
Okay,
on, Vicky.
great. Hi, it's Vicki Winston. I'm with the Greenbrier Neighborhood Council. And I just want to let you know we've delivered to each of our homes a call for all musicians and artists. We're asking them to showcase their talent and join us in a celebration of creativity and self-expression. That'll be at our National Night Out, and this will be the 4th of our 5 Neighbor to Neighbor grant sponsored events that we'll be holding. And so that's it for now. We're just so grateful for this grant that's allowing us to do these projects in our neighborhood.
Thank you. Tanya?
Hello, Tanya. Good evening, everyone. Tanya with Supervisor Joy's office. I'm here to make 2 announcements. The first one is that the Housing Authority will be selling 18 of the properties in North Richmond at market rate. And I know this was of interest to this council, so I want to let everyone know. I can also share the flyer via email so that everyone has it. And there will be first priority to former Los Deltas residents and second priority to North Richmond residents. And then it will open up to the wider community after 120 days. So that's one announcement. And then the other announcement is that I do want to invite everyone out to Thrive Thursdays. It happens every Thursday at 5:45 p.m. at Nickel Park. And we have a walking club, walk with a dog, a dance class, and usually some other activity, whether it be soccer or yoga or an additional dance class. And that's going to happen every Thursday until August 14th, except for July 3rd. So thank you.
Thank you. And lastly, David Alvarado?
Hi, David Alvarado, Director of the West County Wastewater District. Just want to say thank you for allowing me to attend. And I really enjoyed the presentation by Congressman Garamendi's office. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And we had someone that had to take off and come back. And would you like to introduce yourself in your neighborhood?
Yes, thank you. Rock Brown, Sergeant Arms, RNCC, and the treasurer of the East Richmond Neighborhood Council. Thank you.
No report?
No report.
Thank you. So moving on to city staff reports, we have Lieutenant Decius, and I would ask that after Lieutenant Decius, if we can have Michelle Milam, who's so graciously joined us at last minute. Thank you. Lieutenant Decius?
Good evening, everybody. Just a couple, I'll go over some of the stats, and then I believe there might be some questions for me tonight regarding some things in the
Can you speak up, please?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, I apologize. No homicides still this year. I'm going to knock on wood. I believe we've had a homicide since October of last year. Hey, Mr. Alvarado, could you mute yourself, please?
It is the best fucking thing that has ever happened. I use it professionally.
I'm going to wait for a minute, folks. I think hopefully he's muted. So no homicides. We are down 18% for aggravated assaults in the city. We're up about 30% for robberies, and those are more or less crimes of opportunity. A lot of times people walking to and from, we'll say Pacific East Mall, Costco, or other places that they've gone out to purchase things. Individuals will approach them, either grab it out of the cart or the back of their car when they're putting stuff in. So for everyone who shops, and this is nationwide, Bay Area wide, it's definitely something that we need to be aware about in terms of situational awareness and understanding what's around you. And then we have no change on sexual assaults. We had 10 this last month, unfortunately. We're down 22% for residential and commercial burglaries, so that's good. And vehicle theft is down 7%. In the month of May, we impounded 264 vehicles. That's down about 25% because we didn't do a couple operations or tow ops, which sometimes spike our numbers. And we have certain areas that we need to address a lot of abandoned vehicles or community complaints. 6 DUI collisions and 23 DUI reports. And then the officers here had a 20% increase in firearms recovered. They had 30 this past month. And then one just this past for Cordell, one this past week in the area of 25th and McDonald, just so you're aware. The year to date for the shootings, we've had 37, 5 people actually struck by gunfire. So although 5 is still too much, it is definitely an improvement over years past. And then for ShotSpotter activations, we had 32 this past month, which is about a 19% or 5 additional activations from the prior month. Our staffing remains relatively consistent. We just had 3 officers or 3 recruits graduate the academy on Friday. So congratulations to them. In the last couple of weeks, we've had 2, or I want to say 3 officers get off of training and become solo beat officers. So they're helping us with some of our holes and filling those. We currently have 116 sworn officers, and that's from our chief all the way down to our lowest, most junior officer. 4 currently in the academy, and then 3 officers currently in training. So we should have about 7 more, hopefully in the next 3 to 5 months, hitting the streets. Our parking enforcement reps over the last month have issued a little bit more than 5,000 parking citations. And yes, that is going to be for street sweeping, but other various violations as well. And I want to comment to Jan. She sent me an email and a follow-up email today. To answer your question, the handicap placard makes you exempt from time parking, meaning 2-hour parking, but not for street sweeping. Cars still need to be moved when it comes to street sweeping, whether there is a handicap placard or not. And that's all that I have, but I believe Ardo might have a couple of questions for me.
Oh boy, do I. But I would like to start out with Garland. You have a question or comment?
Mitch, you mentioned handicap parking. Is that also exempt from the 20-foot rule from the intersection or a crosswalk?
No. So you can park indefinitely and obviously in a handicapped spot. I believe the greens, which are sometimes 20 minutes or 24 minutes, and then the 2-hour parking. But nobody is allowed to park within that, what's called the daylighting, 20-foot section back from the intersection or crosswalk, excuse me. So no, they are not exempt from that.
Yes, Lieutenant Dishes, thank you. I was just about to say, because I just went by the senior center earlier today, and it has gotten a little bit better, but not much. So along that whole corridor, so that's one. And then the other issue, I think I brought it up last month, is you mentioned about street sweeping, because I just passed through that lot outside the 440 building, and there's that same green BMW that's been sitting there for like, I want to say either Wednesday or Thursday of last week, and it has not been moved since. So I'm hoping that street sweep will be coming around that area, because I've been getting a lot of concerns from residents. And then the third and final thing is a community member has brought this to my attention, that there's that cars be drag racing along 23rd Street by McDonald's. It's getting worse. So I'm hoping that there'll be some extra patrol around that area as well, even by Palace Furniture too. So those are my concerns.
So to follow up just on the traffic enforcement about potential drag racing or sideshow activity, we changed appointments July 6th or 7th, and we currently only have, we have one motor officer who works business hours. We're getting a second one. So we're slowly getting our traffic unit back up and running as to a freestanding, standalone unit. And that will help us with a lot of the neighborhood complaints or the quality of life complaints about, additional parking enforcement, people parking in that daylighting area, or just speed concerns, double parking concerns, and stop sign violations. So although it's not the 6 or 8 that we need or what we want, 2's better than 1 and 1's better than none. So we're slowly getting that staffing back up.
Okay, any questions online? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Me? Okay. Hi, Lieutenant Dishes. So over the weekend, it was reported that there was like over 100 cars throwing out like fireworks, I think. And we've been hearing a lot of uptick in Marina Bay with fireworks. So can you address that?
Yeah, so we've been lucky the last several months in terms of sideshow activity. Over the last couple of weeks, we've had a couple sideshows that kind of sporadically go through the city, and we try to push them out. In terms of the fireworks, we address and we handle calls for service based on, we have a priority list. It's a 1 through a 5. I want to say fireworks are probably a 2 or a 3. I'm currently working on an operation that we're going to be 20 plus officers working on the 4th of July night, where I'm spearheading that. And it's a zero tolerance operation. When we get calls for service during our regular shifts, sometimes it's difficult for us to get there or see someone in possession or see someone lighting off, fireworks. It's the same thing where if it's a noise complaint, sometimes we're extended, just like right now, we have some activity going on in the city where certain calls have to wait. So I haven't seen myself, and I'm going to take you at your word that I haven't seen an uptick in any of the fireworks calls. I do know that we're June 9th today, and in 4 weeks, where it's going to be the 4th of July, so I expect to see it. Our directive to our officers is when we see it, it's a zero tolerance, whether on the 4th of July, 3rd of July, or any day from this day forward, and we're issuing citations. And I believe the citations are either, I think it's 50 or 100 for the first, 200 for the second, and I think 400 or 500 for like a third offense. So we're trying to be as proactive as we possibly can, but unfortunately we can't be everywhere at once. And based on the kind of calls that we get dispatched to, we can't always respond in a timely manner. I
Yeah,
hope
that's
that makes
just
a
sort
little
of
bit
like
of sense.
Right.
What's
No,
that?
and I understand, about the calls. I think people are just tired of making the calls. Because the fireworks are going off. I even heard them Saturday. They were just consistently for like a good hour. And, but obviously by the time you get over there, they'll be gone. So it's just sort of an, an ongoing issue for, I'm sure, the city of Richmond. But thank you.
Do we have any questions online? No? Okay, I might have to share some of these questions with Crime Prevention Manager Michelle Milam, but I wanted to say at one time when Mayor Tom Butt was a mayor, there was a reward system where you could get $1,000 if you turned somebody in, if you have evidence to prove that somebody was doing fireworks. I don't know if that's still in place.
We have a rewards program, and actually, I don't know if you guys watched council a couple of weeks ago, but there was a community-based coalition, Stop Illegal Fireworks, that petitioned the council to come back and meet with staff. I helped facilitate a forum that Captain Lopez is working on with Lieutenant Deschus to come up with a strategy of how we're going to deal with illegal fireworks. And we brought in the new quality of life attorney, Christina Hickey. So we can probably use our existing reward system to be able to launch that. So that's one thing that we're doing. The other thing is we just printed up 1,000 yard signs that indicate the maximum number of dollars that you pay per penalty for illegal fireworks that are available for residents to be able to pick up. Hopefully that will be ready to pick up in the next week or so on a first come, first served basis. We'll have it housed at probably the Corp Yard, but we'll have a couple of other places that we put them up. But we're really trying to coordinate for the 4th of July, because we know you don't just hear them during the 4th. You hear them the weeks leading up to the 4th and then the weeks after the 4th. So it's going to be a concentrated effort, but I think the big thing to remind people, it's not what you hear, it's what you see. And so if you see something, that's the thing to call into dispatch, because that helps us the most. But yes, we can use the reward system, and there's other ways that we can be able to encourage people to come forward with information.
Okay, I've got a couple more questions. I'll save the big one for last. How's that? We spoke about the Neighborhood Watch, and I think you have a nice little sign that if people participate in the Neighborhood Watch, yes, that they can actually get. And what do we do to be able to participate in the neighborhood?
Yeah, so we had block captain training about 2 weeks ago or a week and a half ago. And so Neighborhood Watch is part of what the crime prevention program does. It's how the crime prevention program got started, is focusing on neighborhood watch and neighborhood training. And it really is going back to the days where neighbors look out for each other, they know each other, and they know how to contact and work with the police in the city. So we do block captain training for neighborhoods that are interested in starting a neighborhood watch. They can contact myself, and we can schedule a meeting to train their neighborhood. If they have 5 neighbors interested, we'd be happy to do that. We can do that in person, we can do it online, whatever is most convenient for that neighborhood. They can go to block captain training and then get all the information, and then they can go back and start their neighborhood groups. So those are the 2 ways that you can start a neighborhood watch. Once you get started, you can get registered with the city. The city will put up metal street signs. We work with Public Works to be able to put those up in 3 locations for the neighbors. So that's just a reminder to people that, hey, we do report things to the police department. We do look out. It's also a reminder for the neighbors too, to call things in. Don't rely on your neighborhood council president to call everything in. You need to call things in as well, right? And then we also get folks some window signs as well. And we have decals and other things that we do. So we go through a lot of things like, how do you report crime? How do you get to know your beat officer? And then there's other questions people have too about how city things function. Like, how can I get red curves painted? How can I get in contact with code enforcement? How can I get this vehicle towed? We'll work with people and try to get people that information, so.
Great, that's wonderful. And then the other question was, I don't know, 5-10 years ago, we had an ordinance, a home alarm system ordinance where you had to register your home alarm because we were having a lot of false alarms and officers having to go out there. Is that still in place, and do people still need to register alarms? And also, if it's not in place and people are automatically debited, how can they
How can they get their money back?
Yeah, can they get their money back?
Can they get? So my understanding, and I have been trying to do more research on this, so I don't want to say this definitively because I don't want to misspeak, is that the ordinance is still in effect. It's ordinance number 7.96. It went into effect in February of 2015, and basically it says if you are a business or a resident and you have an alarm, you have to register and have a permit. You can go on a 2-year cycle, and I think it's $30 for every 2 years. Now, in terms of how diligent the city is about making sure that people get their notices and collect that, that is information that I don't have as of today. But I did ask a couple of different departments to weigh in and give me some updates so that I can figure out if, for example, someone has been overbilled, how can they go about remedying that and getting their charges reduced, or if they're supposed to pay, how they do it. Now, there is an online portal, if you go to the city website, where you can actually pay online, and that's still up and running. So I think the question just is, how are people who maybe aren't paying being contacted or getting a letter or notice like, hey, you need to pay your alarm fee? So I'll find out that information and be able to come back to you with that.
Great, I appreciate that. And then we did speak over the weekend about an RV and the homeless issue, and reporting RVs in your neighborhood has kind of changed a little bit.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about that?
I definitely can. So one of my other hats, in addition to being crime prevention manager about 7 years ago, is working with the city's unhoused team. So the city has a core team, which is a homeless outreach team that goes out and offers emergency shelter services to people who are unhoused. We started doing this about 7 years ago because at that point in time, Martin versus Boise was the law of the land, which said basically you cannot abate an encampment or remove someone without offering them an available shelter bed. And so currently, per our ordinance and per the city attorney, we are still following that just because of some particular legal defenses that are still up and running, that we offer services first. So the camping ordinance is 11.96030, and it basically says a couple of things. It's unlawful for any person to camp, sleep, or occupy camp facilities or use camp paraphernalia, so that means stuff, except in any parking lot, public area, open spaces that are available for that particular use. And also, the person has to be informed of emergency shelter services. Those shelter services have to be available, and such a person is willing to go and stay at those services. So what that basically means is this: if someone is camping in the public right-of-way, I'm not talking about a private driveway, I'm not talking about Caltrans property, the city public right-of-way, our pathway is we make contact with that person, offer them emergency shelter bed. It does not have to be the shelter bed of their choice, and we realize that the shelter capacity is limited, and not everybody wants to go to the sheltering options people offer. Like, for example, BARM, the Mission, they offer services. It's overnight. So you go overnight, you stay overnight, 8 o'clock in the morning, you're released, and you can't bring your pets. So some people will say no to that. We don't have to, per the ordinance, offer you the shelter of your choice. We just have to offer a shelter. So people might want to go to Brookside. Brookside is full. If we go out and you say, no, you offer me BARM, I don't want to do that, then we tell that individual, okay, and then we'll go ahead, and if they are in a vehicle, parking enforcement would give the 72-hour notice that's legal by law. If they are in a tent, that is the abatement team in Public Works that would come and notice that. And they have a process legally that they have to follow about dealing with people's belongings and stuff and things of that nature. After that 72 hours, if their vehicle is still there, it's just like any other vehicles on the street. It gets towed if they don't move it. And it also depends on staffing. So I do want to make that proviso. We try to get to things as soon as we can. We have a core team that's available in the city of Richmond only 3 days a week. Every other city in the county has a full-time core team. We do not. We're trying to work on expanding that capacity, but we don't have that right now. But core can usually get out in maybe 48 hours to make contact with that person. And then after that, it's up to the city department that's responsible to go out and tag and notice and then remove the encampment. So the question people ask, well, they came back. They're like, they're like a block down. They're still there. As frustrating as it is, per our ordinance, that process starts again. We do still have to go and contact that person and say, hey, we're offering you some services. There are things that we can do, like change the curb limits and, red curb and parking limits that I think are helpful. We had a meeting this morning with Public Works to talk about like rocks, boulders, other things that we can do to discourage people from camping in certain areas. We work with Caltrans, we work with the railroad, but essentially that is how that process works. Now, if they are on private property, it actually is a little bit easier in some ways. If the private property owner says, hey, this is a vehicle, and I think you asked me this question, Ms. Lori, before, and it's camped out on private property owner says, I don't want this vehicle there. Well, that's a call to the police department because that's technically trespassing. They can come and say, hey, you got to go. But if the property owner, is just kind of, absentee, then what we would have to do is take it through code enforcement. We have to go to the civil side, get a warrant to remove them. So sounds complicated, but the best thing to remember is that we offer the services, they accept or decline. The only exception is there's no shelter beds available. So we had this happen with an individual on South 27th Street who had medical issues that prevented that individual from going into any shelter. So it was 4 months before we could remove that vehicle, and we finally got them into the ERF2 program, and this day they're in their own apartment. So that's a great success story. However, it took 4 months and a lot of finagling to get them into that kind of service because there was no shelter facility that would take them. Most people don't fall in that category. Most people either accept or decline. So that's how the ordinance works. The big thing for you guys to know as neighbors is we're going to offer the service first. A lot of times people will say, well, I'm waiting on CORE. Sometimes that's true, sometimes that's not. We document it. Sometimes CORE has come and offered the services, and people didn't get the service they wanted. They wanted permanent housing. Well, that's not what we have. We have emergency shelter, and we might not have the kind that you want, but we still offered you something. And we document that. Okay, we offered, you accepted or declined, and then we'll come in with the noticing process. Do we need more resources and other things so that we can avoid the musical chairs? Absolutely. But it's important for neighborhood councils to understand what the process is, and we'll try to get through that. If everything works ideally, we can do it in a week. Sometimes it takes a little longer, sometimes it takes a little less, but we will work with you.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Hi, Michelle. Question, and thank you for answering it, because, we've had many chats on the unhoused situation and the RV cars, but the repeat offenders, and is there any, because the process repeats over and over and over again, what, if anything, is being done to maybe address that, so that, we're not wasting, services, time, because it's just time after time. It's essentially every couple weeks.
Yeah, for those. So that would really be more of a change of the ordinance from a council level or, interpretation by the city attorney. So, there are other cities who have addressed their changes in ordinance, like for instance, Oakland, in high fire zones. We don't have to come and offer you services. They basically eliminated that piece of it, but the ordinance would have to be changed for something to be done. Honestly, the service delivery component only adds maybe a couple days onto the process. If we were, for example, to arrest or give citations to someone who is camping, that's a misdemeanor. So, when they get out of jail, are they going to come back and camp again if they haven't accepted services? Probably so. I think that the best way to address it is to try to do some target hardening in those areas that we know people frequent and make it less easy for them to be able to park or camp there, and then try to offer ways to reduce barriers into shelter or other options for people so that we can get people to take something. If I can get somebody to take something, then they're not back in your neighborhood, and they're not parked on your block, and they're not parked on your street.
Really fast. Okay. Would just piggyback on what you just said, just curious, would that be like the example in ordinance, they could pass an ordinance on parks or something? Like because of the needles and things like that that are coming up?
It's hard for parks. So for example, let's take Nevin Park. We have been trying to address some of the issues at Nevin Park. And, we could take Tiller Park. Tiller Park was another one. Because parks are public spaces, we can't limit people from, being in the park. We can limit certain actions in the park, but not necessarily people being in the park. So to change the ordinance for no camping, it wouldn't necessarily change because camping is when they set up paraphernalia, tents and other things, it wouldn't necessarily change that part of it. I think the question just is to address the initial question about like the circular motion of this, how do we stop it? I think the only way that you can kind of address that is either one, you can shorten the process and say, hey, we've offered services we're not gonna offer again, or you can figure out ways to eliminate barriers. But the park is a little bit more tricky because it's a public place.
All right, we have Philip Rosenthal with a question, please.
Yes.
Hey, Michelle, thanks for being here. I just, actually, Margarita just kind of touched on the question that I had emailed you, which is folks who just move across the street or around the corner. So I think you answered that sufficiently. But one of the concerns we're having in the neighborhood is that social service organizations under contract with the city appear to be placing violent, mentally ill patients into our local motels and single room occupancies, which is not what the city is saying is supposed to be happening. We had an example is a woman who was quite insane and definitely out of her mind and either on drugs or mental illness, who then took a brick and bashed 2 car windows and the ATM and mechanics. And we were able to trace her to the Shore Stay Motel, to a specific room, because somebody followed her from a distance. And it appears as though SOS placed her there, but with no mental health support. We also know that they are placing drug addicts in SROs in our neighborhood, bragging about getting them off the street while we watch them doing drug deals on our corners. So I just wanted to point out that in my particular neighborhood, we have, all of us have homeless issues in our neighborhood, but it seems as though the homeless are being placed in our neighborhood, but without services. And of course, we can talk about this a little more offline, but I think it's time to speak up a little bit about it, because I just saw an article where that particular nonprofit was bragging about putting people in hotels and bragging about helping people move their vehicles. But we know that they're telling the vehicles to go to different neighborhoods. So it's really a challenge for us in Point Richmond, which has a reputation for being so wealthy and having no problems. Per capita, I bet we have the same homeless problem that any of the other neighborhoods has. So it's both a comment and a question about how we can keep, if folks need help, throwing them in a hotel is not going to help if they have mental illness. So is there any comment on that you can give?
Well, you sure ask easy questions, Philip. So I really appreciate it, and I appreciate you, and I appreciate the conversations we have. I can't speak specifically about SOS because I don't manage their contract and don't oversee their program, but I can say this about the use of hotels and people who have addiction or mental health issues. There's a great percentage of people who are unhoused who have mental illness and addiction issues. That's why they're unhoused. The question is, how do you provide some people with the supportive services that they need, and what's the correct fit for people while they're transitioning? We've had people, I've worked with people who have been able to get sober, and and they're able to go into housing, and some people are not because they're still struggling with that recovery and they have not made that commitment. So I think it's a case by case to see whether the person is ready for that level of service. So that's one piece. For the hotel piece, a lot of people will say, well, what's the point of putting on the hotel? Well, there's only certain hotels that under the ERF2 program that we use, and I can tell you the main one is not in the city of Richmond. It's actually in another city. So there may be some other hotels and other things that other organizations use. We only have one right now, and it's not in the city of Richmond. And then that is a navigation center. It's not designed to be permanent or long-term. It's a place where people are designed to be able to go while we try to get their income up and see if they can do room rental. But not everybody's a good fit for those programs. So I definitely take what you're saying to heart, and I agree with you that we have to be careful about the fit and the placement. But I'll just share with you about ERF2, at least for what I know, that hotel's not in the city of Richmond.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I'm sorry, did she answer your question?
Philip, did she answer your question, or were you speaking?
I just wanted to follow up. People need a place to live, and anybody who has housing is better than anyone who doesn't. But the community cannot be made unsafe. So we just need to make sure that those people are getting continued services. And that's problematic in my community, and Michelle and I can talk a little bit about it. I'm grateful for all you do. This is a problem of rolling that stone up the mountain. So I understand, and but I wanted to say this out loud because it's a problem in my community. Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you. And before I ask this next question, I did want everybody to know, as you know, they are moving the homeless out of Oakland. They're moving them out of Berkeley, and expect more homeless people here. So as Michelle said, call.
On that note, I have to, because you drew it. Working at Costco, that last time, years ago, when Berkeley, which you just said, when they created, there was a law, like you said, an ordinance, it was sit and lie. You could, with the ordinance sit and lie, they couldn't in front of the businesses. They wanted to clean it up, quote unquote, they were doing a cleanup, sit and lie ordinance they passed. And we, right there, all around Costco and the Point Isabel, we've seen a huge influx of Berkeley. Now you said it's Berkeley and Oakland. I pray for them. I'm thankful that I have a roof over my head, but wow, big job.
Yeah, and I will say this because there is a popular narrative that people from other cities are coming to Richmond. And I can say that when you look at the HMIS data, which is the homeless management information data, every time CORE goes out and makes contact, they made contact with 1,490 people last year. Over 60% of those people lost their housing in Richmond. Out of the rest that were left, probably about 15% came from other counties like Alameda or Yolo or some other state. Most of them lost their housing in some nearby Contra Costa city. Does that mean that people aren't coming from other cities and won't? It does not mean that, but it does mean that we have a lot of people who are housing unstable in Richmond, and when they lose their housing, they don't leave. They come here.
So I know we have to move this meeting along, but I did have to ask this question, and I asked you earlier. Seeing what's going on in LA with all the riots and, all the trouble and them going after our undocumented brothers and sisters, what have you. But we know that our police department is short-staffed by a lot, and I want to know what they are going to do to be able to protect our undocumented brothers and sisters and our citizens alike.
So I had an opportunity to talk to Chief French a little bit more about this today. And so as you all know, Richmond's a sanctuary city, which means we don't cooperate with ICE. We've done a number of forums within the community, bilingual forums with the Latina Center and other partners, just to stress that we do not cooperate with ICE. But because we don't cooperate with ICE, if they go out and they're deployed, they're not going to tell us that they are. So what we're going to do is we are going to protect the rights of our residents, whether they're documented or not. Obviously, if we get into a situation where there's civil unrest, it's no different than, how we would plan for any protest. We're going to respect free speech. And obviously, if it delves into something else, we'll come up with a plan, but that is something that normally is decided at the local level. So I cannot speak to what the federal government is doing right now. The only thing I can tell you is that the governor and AG Bonta are now dealing with this as a issue that's a legal issue that's being battled in the courts. And so that is probably above Richmond for right now, but I can tell you that we are going to respect the municipal ordinance that we have around Sanctuary City. We want people to feel comfortable working with us and reporting crime, and comfortable that we aren't here to ask about your status. We're here to serve and protect.
Thank you. I want to thank.
Hey, Ardo, if I could just piggyback on that. So
Sure.
the two biggest things that we're about, protecting life and protecting property. It doesn't make a difference your status. So if someone is in danger, getting assaulted or whatever it might be, we're going to protect them. The same thing on the reverse side, if someone's property is being damaged, vandalized, we're going to do that. So people just need to understand that we try to police with, I guess like an unfiltered lens. I guess, I don't know if that's the right way to say it, but we're trying to be as fair and unbiased as possible. So I just want people to understand it doesn't make a difference if you're undocumented or documented, or if you're a citizen. We're going to protect everybody as much as we possibly can. So
I appreciate the answer. I was just, I know that there's a lot of people that have concerns because the police department is so understaffed. And so, the other side is so overwhelmed with
It's difficult.
protesters.
And I don't think that the neighborhood councils, I'll close on this, and the neighborhood groups, I think most of you sitting up here know this. People don't understand how the staffing levels actually affect the residents in terms of the service you get, and it does. It makes a big difference on priority 1 versus priority 2. Can we get somebody out on this call? Can we work together? Can we have extra traffic here? Those things do matter, and they make a difference. And I was brought in under the Magnus years when we had, a wealth of officers that could go out and address quality of life issues and other concerns that the neighborhood councils have. We are doing the best that we have with the staffing that we have. And of course, we're trying to build up. It's really important that you as residents know that and understand the limitations, and you're in the driver's seat of what you want to see happen in this city.
I thank you for and before you go, Jan has one last question.
Just a quick question. What's the update on Motel 6?
Oh, great news. So we did, I can't say we officially broke ground, but they've started renovations. And so right now we're providing extra patrol there. You saw that the fence went up and some other measures to go up because we don't want people camping out there while we're doing construction. So that was, project number 1, and we're continuing to work on that with Sergeant Tong. But the hope is by next year, 2026, we'll have 48 units of permanent supportive housing there, and those will be open to Richmond residents, not the whole county. So that's what we're working on with Novin Development. The city has a ground lease for that facility.
Thank you. We appreciate your report and your presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So moving on, we have, do we have anybody from Richmond Fire Department online?
We have Chief Rico Racon from the Fire Department.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Rico Rincon, Deputy Fire Chief, Richmond Fire Department. For our presentation this evening, I have some incident totals for the previous month, and then I'll cover some of our highlighted activities for May. Our overall total for incident response up 57 incidents from the previous month. Structure fires up 8 in the month of May from 2 in April. Our vegetation fires, where we had none in April, increased to 7 in the month of May. Our homeless encampment fires actually went down by 2 to 66, down from 68 in the previous month. Vehicle fires down as well, with a total of 4 for May. And our EMS medical response incidents down from 688 to 685. For a total of, including other subcategories, a total of 1,181 response incidents in the month of May. Some of our activities, like many other city departments, participated in the Cinco de Mayo Festival. We work to continue our firefighter recruit academy for new firefighter trainees that we've hired within the organization, with the expected graduation of June 20th this month. We are happy to have graduated and completed our spring CERT academy. And we also, as mentioned in the police department presentation, worked collaboratively with the police department to prepare for our response plans for this year's fireworks season. In our city council presentations, we made a presentation to city council similar to what we have in the RNCC presentation for our LRA maps, to work towards completing a formal adoption process of those maps through the City of Richmond's City Council process. And then in addition to that, we made a presentation to City Council to discuss the feasibility of adding an ALS, or Advanced Life Support Service program, to the Richmond Fire Department response. What does that mean? Adding paramedics to fire engines for Richmond Fire Department emergencies. And lastly, we conducted our Wildfire Awareness Month open house at Fire Station 63. It covers some of the highlights that I have from the previous month, and I am open for any questions.
Thank you. Any questions here? Any in the audience? Any online? Well, seeing none, I want to thank you for your presentation. I guess hope to see you next month.
Definitely. I'll see you then. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on, Mayor's Office, Mr. Tony Tamayo, are you available?
He's on. Tony? There you go.
Hello, everyone. My name is Tony Tamayo. I'm the Chief of Staff of Richmond Mayor Eduardo Martinez. Glad to be here with you all today. My updates are brief. Again, like I always stress every time I'm here, is we are constantly looking for board and commission members. We plan to take it up a notch by tabling at events this summer to help spread the word and bring applications to people versus having them come to us. We would like to remind everyone to sign up for our newsletter, where we share events that are happening, the latest news, and agenda items that were considered. As far as other news with the mayor's office, we've been in communication with other elected leaders around the Bay Area around sort of, or kickstarted by some of the things that we're seeing out in LA. So, we'll have updates when we can for there, but for now, we want to turn to you all as our trusted leaders in our neighborhoods to remind folks to verify before reposting or posting information online. We've seen an uptick of people posting inaccurate information that causes panic around ICE and other issues. And so we're having to go out there and try to verify information, put out statements like we did today. So if I can ask for something out of you all today, it's to help spread that word, to verify about reposting, and to spread power, not panic. With that, I'll turn it over for any questions.
Thank you. Do we have any questions here?
Hi, Tony. Speaking on that topic and misinformation, I know that the city put together quite a lofty package with regards to attorneys to help undocumented workers. Is there a particular phone number or place that they can go to for information?
As of now, it is recommended that folks reach out to Stand Together Contra Costa. There's a hotline that people can access to, and basically, it's if you see federal immigration and custom enforcement activity in progress, contact that number. If you or someone you know has been detained or arrested by ICE, contact that number. And if someone is facing deportation proceedings, they should contact that number. And that number is area code 925-900-5151. Again, that number is 925-900-5151. And I was just in contact today with Alice Saidi, the executive director of Stand Together Contra Costa, and we hope to maintain those relationships.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'd like to add, I just saw the mayor's post on social media, and it was exactly as you said, verify first before starting any rumors. So are there any questions online? No? No, any questions? Okay, well, thank you. Thank you, Tony. Greatly appreciated.
Thank you all.
All right, next we have economic development. Anyone online? Or, oh, there we go. Oh, there he is. Long time no see. No.
Just push the button.
Okay. Good evening, Chair, RNC Board. Thank you for your service. My name is Craig Murray. I'm in the Real Estate Division of the Economic Development Department. So we have, as you may know, 6 different divisions. We have Art and Culture, Business Development, Environmental Health Initiatives, the Port of Richmond, Real Estate, and Richmond Housing Authority. So this is my first time here, but I've been asked to present for our department, and I do have presentations from each of the divisions. So our arts and culture folks are up first, and they're saying, I'm excited to share the Richmond Main Library renovation artwork RFQ and P successfully closed today. This is a significant milestone in our ongoing efforts to enhance our community spaces with beautiful and inspiring art. Second item is additionally the City of Richmond Poet Laureate RFQ was released today and is now available on the AC page. We're looking forward to seeing the creative and talented individuals who apply for this prestigious role. Third of 4 items is in another exciting development, the Installation, Maintenance, and Repair IMR Contractors Registry Database for Public Art is now live and accessible on the AC page. This will be an invaluable resource for those involved in public art projects across the city. Lastly, I'd like to highlight the recent celebration in Parkchester Village. On May 31st, the community came together to unveil Richard Muro's stunning 88-panel sound wall mural. It was a fantastic event that showcased the rich artistic talent within our city. And that's our Arts and Culture report. Economic Business Development, and we have a new person there, Jason De Leon. You may have met Jason, and he's reporting the following 3 items, 3 areas. Business development overall. We just completed several big events, including KTVU's Zip Trip, featuring City of Richmond, and a grand relaunch of The Lot, downtown Richmond food court. You can watch the KTVU Zip Trip on ktvu.com or on their YouTube. We're meeting regularly with existing businesses as well as potential business owners and providing concierge services. The second area is business development programs. ARPA, Small Business Support, is continuing to award grants to those businesses who applied and were affected by COVID. Program is moving along and scheduled for completion around August. This program is on track to help nearly 50 Richmond small businesses. Division continues the work on upcoming programs, which are facade program, focused within the Iron Triangle, Santa Fe, and Coronado, open rewards, and buy local campaign. Finally, there's an invitation to attend. Economic Development Commission meets Wednesday, June 11th at 11:30. There are open commissioner positions for those interested in helping grow Richmond's economy. Next up is our environmental health initiatives. And the report there is that I want to thank everyone that joined Bike to Wherever Day event. It was a beautiful day, and Richmond Energizer stations counted over 400 participants, which is an increase over last year's participation count. On June 17th, there'll be an item on the Richmond City Council providing an update on Richmond's green Blue New Deal. And then finally, additionally, the new solid waste agreement will be going before City Council, so on June 17th. And Samantha Carr with that division had a very good report to our bike ped committee, was just preceding this meeting with some really interesting data showing that we're trending back up to our numbers where we were before, prior to COVID. The other divisions, Port of Richmond, they did have a meeting for the public about the upcoming dredging activity. So quite a few folks participated, good Q&A there. I've been, since I managed the marina lease, meeting with the port and working on that as well. And we're looking at basically 2 permits, one for the port and one for the marina. And the benefit of that is the marina will have, we're hoping, a shallow water in-bay disposal, and they'll reduce our costs. And the port has 3 very important areas to dredge to keep our businesses interested in continuing here in Richmond. Real estate is my section. You'll see some council reports coming up. We have John Garamendi's office here and finished the lease for Congressman Garamendi, so looking forward to his continued presence here in Richmond. That's a really good thing. The other very interesting item is that we have State Senator Jesse Araguin, and they've expressed interest. So I want to thank those that brought forward. I know Harpreet Sandhu, who was here earlier, had worked on that, and we've had others that kind of pushed that forward, including a council member. And we do now have a lease, a draft lease from the state, and that's going forward to our city attorney's office, and that should appear in front of council. One of the more significant things as well is in the marina is there's an equity transfer. So as you remember, in 2022, our longtime operator, the City of Richmond still owns the marina, but the marina is operated by a group that runs it for the city. So a very successful operation. They sold their interest to the largest marina operator, Safe Harbors Marina. They came into Richmond in 2022. They have now sold their equity interest to a group, Blackstone, BIP. So a very increased value of our marina, and also more interest. We'll be receiving more property tax and looking for more investment into the Richmond Marina area. Finally, we have a couple of the leases. I'll go through some of the items the real estate division's working on. So talked about the Safe Harbor Marina and Senator Araguin. We have transformative communities, climate communities, looking at 1600 Nevin Plaza. Richmond Main Street is there. We're looking to continue their lease. They also have a flex space if you haven't been there. And a new executive director is doing a wonderful job really cleaning up that location. Areas around are multimodal bus, Amtrak, and BART station. We have YMCA, Pram, AC Transit. RM is a contract with our Richmond Courtyard. So the areas I manage, we have 9 deed restricted properties in Marina Bay, and we also are trying to get a closure on the Richmond Corporation Yard. So working with staff on that, and also a grant to try to get our funds reimbursed. So see some revenue actually coming back from the state, and that would be something we're looking forward to. There's various other things in terms of leases, easements, contracts, bids, bidding out area FM cap. That's another significant project in the marina. We have only one site left to cap, and that's area FM. That's the area between Laura's Restaurant and the Richmond Boat Launch Facility. So we finally have approval from state DTSC, and we're going forward to get that capped and have that put into some productive reuse. It's a temporary cap, so hopefully there will be a developer in the future, but in the meantime, we'll have it capped and reused. And there's various other ones. Richmond Promise, the seawall railing has been assessed, so we worked with Public Works Facilities Department and the Harbor Master to determine the condition of each of the railing systems. And we're looking possibly with employment and training to help us do that, see if we could provide some rich job experience with local youth to help beautify our city and that portion of the city. And there's also other access agreements and working with a multi-jurisdictional group on Nickel Knob. That's our communication tower and vault there. And we found one looking at the easement area is a problem with one of the real estate sections. So we're upgrading agreements. Some of these go back all the way to the 1900s with the East Bay MUD, the county, and East Bay Regional Park District. So that's it for real estate. Richmond Housing Authority is continuing with their audit, and I spoke with their officer today, and they'll be bringing forward a proposal on one of the properties to council here in the short term. That's the end of my report. Here for any questions.
Any questions?
Yes. Can you speak to what's going on with the Craneway?
The Craneway is a private entity, so I think they had some pickleball there. And I really, back to the Bike to Work Day, it was really great when Sun Power was there. There's just this complete energy and great energy there. So it'll be interesting to see how it develops. I'm not directly involved in that. I know there's some parking, shared parking with WIDA, and then on the other side of that, our former Marina master developer, Richard Poe, has West Shore. And that's he wanted to bring forward the single family homes, and of course we wanted to see multifamily, higher density, really drive the numbers at the time for a ferry, but we were able to compete and receive the ferry earlier than we expected. So that's still a goal to.
I can say that at the Craneway, there's a dispute with the owner that's leasing the property, Eddie Orton, and the pickleball people. And they're in litigation right now over money and other issues. So they are no longer playing pickleball there. They've been locked out. So it's a shame. It's a beautiful building.
It certainly is.
So,
yeah. Thank you. I guess the Craneway, they've got pickleball and there's different issues. I was wondering on the economic end of things and the real estate, do we have any grocery we're looking at in any places? How about maybe a Berkeley Bowl or a Lucky Store, or just more on the infrastructure and grocery? I was just hoping that there's some type of interest because most of the time we drive on the outside to get our groceries, and it'd be nice to give you the tax dollars right here.
I agree. My family dates back to 1869 in the Bay Area. And I remember folks in Point Richmond driving over the Richmond-Sanford Bridge. We had a Fry's Market and Larkspur Landing that folks would have to go to. I've talked to other developers, such as a developer up on the Richmond Parkway, Goodrick, and he was thinking this and had some, and the timing didn't work out, and some of the tenants he did have moved a little further up the Richmond Parkway. When in redevelopment, we also developed it was one of the last significant projects, which is our number 3 sales tax generator at the Target site. So it was a former Toys R Us area, and then some other marginal businesses, and those businesses were provided full relocation benefits and reestablished. But now we have a business development there. So I think that's kind of the model for Richmond that's been very successful. Of course, redevelopment was abolished in all cities, all counties in the state of California in 2012. So a significant hit that was here in this city since World War II that helped clean up. Of course, Richmond Redevelopment Agency had to sue the federal government to start the cleanup of Marina Bay. So that tool is no longer with the city, but certainly I think the examples of other successful projects such as the McDonald Avenue Target site, we have, of course, Costco, and Walmart's another large sales tax generator, but that's good in terms of economic development scope as your property tax. I talked about the marina and increased value there, as well as any sales tax generators. So that's always significant things we'd like to look at. And one of the things I mentioned is you get more housing units, more demand, then those are the things site locators look at in terms of those economics and those concentric circles out that support those businesses.
Do you have any questions online? Any other questions from the? Share the mic.
Craig, you mentioned about the dredging of the port. Do you know what's the timeline for when it'll be complete?
So we're looking, Cordell, 25, 26, so hoping to permit later part of this year, and depending on how it's bid. And you may see two different projects, one with the marina and one with the port areas. Good. Okay.
Well, thank you. Okay.
Actually, I want to get your contact information.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, and so you mentioned there's one area in Marina Bay that's an empty lot, and that's between Rosie the Riveter and the end of the Marina Way South, I think it is, Marina Way. And it's I think it's a private owner, so I've been trying to find out, like, because it's overgrown and there's a lot of debris and it's unkept, and I think it's a private owner. It's not, so kind of want to follow up on that as well as some other things that you mentioned tonight.
Okay, so I know working with our Marina Bay crew, they're doing some cleanups, weed abatements, and you'll see Marina Way South and Hall up to the alley there in the boat launch ramp parking area, some significant cleanup there. If you'd email me the location, I could follow up with you, and
Okay.
I'll see if there could be some focus on it.
I know Lori wanted one of your cards as well.
Yeah, sure.
And I just want to say, it's been a while since I've seen you.
I wanted to say some Finnish, and terve is hello. So,
Very good.
Terve
Yeah.
to you. Yeah.
For those of you that don't know, we go to special district conferences and seminars, and we run into each other quite frequently, so appreciate you coming in. And I will call you and email you some questions, especially regarding Hilltop and downtown.
Okay, very good.
Just don't have the time
Welcome
right now.
anyone else if you need any information.
Well, thank you. Thank you for your permission, for your presentation.
You bet.
Next, we have the Planning Department, who was unable to make it this evening. And they said that if anyone has any questions, comments, or concerns about the planning or for the Planning Department, to please email them. Moving on, we have Community Services with Ms. Stephanie Nye.
Good evening, everybody. This is Stephanie Nye, the City of Richmond Community Services Department and Public Works. And I am also the staff liaison to RNCC. And I'm here with Alexis Grace as well. First, I'm going to start off with some reminders and notices to the neighborhood councils. This is your monthly reminder that neighborhood councils have access to our community centers for your regular in-person meetings at no cost, as well as one free annual event. And neighborhood councils also have access to our printing and mailing services. So please contact us for any of your print jobs, and remember that you need to submit them well in advance. I wanted to bring up a couple things, or a few things about our neighborhood dumpster days. Our Public Works Division, our department, is very much working on aligning all of our services and making sure our rules are consistently applied. This includes enforcing a 1 pickup truckload limit per resident for dumpster days. It also includes enforcing the rule of no businesses or U-Haul vehicles, as well as box trucks. We also are not allowing fundraising or dues collections at dumpster days. We have received complaints about being charged for dumpster day when this is a free service. So this is not being allowed at dumpster days. While we are making these changes, we acknowledge that there could be some hiccups, some bumps in the road. If you have any concerns, anything you'd like to bring to our attention, please let me know and I will pass it along to our Public Works team. Additionally, the Richmond Plunge is temporarily closed for maintenance as of June 5th. Programs have been reallocated to the Richmond Swim Center in the meantime. If you have any questions, please visit the City of Richmond website, Aquatics webpage, or contact our registration office at 510-620-6793 for any inquiries. For event recaps, on Wednesday, May 17th, Recreation and the Commission on Aging held the 41st Annual Senior Information and Health Fair with over 250 people in attendance. We thank all the vendors, city staff, and participants who showed up. On Friday, May 23rd, we held a volunteer event at Miraflores Greenbelt with 61 volunteers. Volunteers removed invasive species and picked up trash. We want to thank all the volunteers, and particularly the Richmond Rotary Club and Richmond Youth Build for bringing people in numbers to our event. And on Saturday, May 31st, I know this is the third time it's being mentioned, but we held the Parchester Village Seeds to Harvest Mural Reveal celebration. I want to give a special thanks to other neighborhood council representatives who came out to support Parchester Village. A huge kudos goes to the PVNC, particularly Miss Rita and Miss Lori, Richard Moreau Salazar, who was the main artist, Mikey Hernandez, the videographer, and all of the artists, partners, volunteers, and supporters for this project. In terms of new events, Recreation is hosting the Recreation is hosting the 3rd of July fireworks at Marina Bay Park from 5 to 10 p.m. We're also hosting our annual Movies in the Park series. On July 11th at 8 p.m. or sunset, we'll show Inside Out 2 at Marina Bay Park. July 25th, we'll be showing Mufasa at Tiller Park. August 8th, we'll be showing Moana 2 at Marina Bay Park. Oh, sorry. Did I say Marina Bay Park for the first one? Yes. I'm sorry. July 11th, we're showing Inside Out 2 at Lemoyne Park, not Marina Bay Park. August 8th, we're showing Moana 2 at Marina Bay Park. August 22nd, we'll show Sonic 3 at Richmond Recreation Complex. Please contact the registration office if you have any questions about movies in the park. In terms of programs, we are excited to announce the Richmond Tool Library and Mobile Tool Library are going to be expanding. We're conducting a community needs assessment now through June 30th to help determine how we should expand our services, such as what days of the week you want to see us open, where we're going to park the Mobile Tool Library for visitors, and what events you'd like us to host. This information can be found online on the city website. We have our summer camp registration is now open. It's running from June 16th through August 6th at Booker T. Anderson Community Center, Nevin Community Center, Parchester Community Center, Shields Reed, May Valley, and Richmond Recreation Complex. I believe most of our slots are full, but we do have wait lists open. And we're continuing to offer Zumba classes at the Recreation Complex Tuesdays and Thursdays, 7 to 8 p.m., and Saturdays, 8:30 to 9:30 a.m. at the Recreation Complex. If you have any questions about recreation program offerings, please contact our registration office at 510-620-6793. For neighborhood and volunteer services, including dumpster days, please contact me, Stephanie Nye, at 510-620-6563. And I could take any questions before I pass it along to Alexis for Neighbor to Neighbor.
On the changes with dumpster day, are we going to be putting those on the flyers that go out to people? Because I know I have people who make 5 trips. If there's not a line, they'll come back 5 times. So I think that's going to be an important one to be on there. Thank you.
Yes, the one pickup truck load limit is on the flyers currently, as well as I'm not sure if your specific one had it, because we worked on it several months ago, but no businesses should be on all of them, but the no U-Hauls is a new language that we're using that may or may not have been on yours, but should be on in June and July moving forward.
The other thing, people can work their way around it. They could go to Doherty's and get a vehicle and it would be a rental, but it doesn't have any writing on it. I know one of the people that came is a neighbor that lives on 24th and Garvin, and he was actually driving a truck that had, it looked like it had been one that had been, what do they call it when they put the?
Contractors or?
No, when they put they used their vehicle as advertisement for somebody else. And so I think that's what their truck was. So, and I know I told Julian afterwards, and he was like, I missed that one. I said, sorry, he's the first guy in line.
Okay, yeah, if you notice any inconsistencies, please do reach out to me, preferably in writing, to let me know, and I could pass it along to our team to make sure we're being consistent.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, you mentioned that there were complaints that people felt like they were paying to dump. I know that's never been anything that any of the neighborhoods have ever said. It has always been free. We were often given donations at ours, and so we finally put a bucket out, and people really appreciated it. But there, in no way has anyone ever said you have to pay to dump. That's never been an issue. So I'm not quite sure where that came from. Probably could be from somebody who was disgruntled from all of these changes, because we had, as Jan mentioned, there was a gentleman with a company truck that tried to go to 2 or 3 of the different locations and actually got a little bit aggressive with Miss Rita and the person from the city. Actually, it started with the supervisor who ran him away. And at the end, he just ended up going to his house with a wheelbarrow and rolling it back. So, yeah, I mean, people may get upset, but there are workarounds. And we that work with the city will always adhere to what is asked of us by them. So, thank you.
Thank you. Anything online? Any questions? No? Before we go next door, how about, did I hear you mention July 3rd fireworks at the marina?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. And then what I wanted to ask you is about the newsletters. Has there been any changes, updates for the neighborhood council newsletters?
Not that I'm aware of. I mean, we had
Could you tell us the process still?
the process of
The newsletters, when we
request-
submit them to the city?
Yeah, so when you could submit a newsletter request to the city, we'll check it to make sure the content is okay. We don't allow any campaigning or political content or for-profit business promotion. We'll make sure the formatting is okay. If there are if we catch things with the content or with formatting, we'll send it back to you. That's why we do ask you to send it early, because there is sometimes back and forth that can take a while. Typically, once it's finalized, we will send it to print, and it takes two weeks from when we send it to print for it to be completed. And then keep in mind, you need to pick it up and then take it to the post office, and that could take some time for you to coordinate to pick it up, but also for the post office to deliver. So, yeah, you pick it up at at City Hall and take it to the bulk mail facility. Printed instructions are included in your box when you pick up the newsletters, and we also email it to you as well.
I was also hoping that maybe you could look into what it would look like if the RNCC was to do a newsletter as a body that we could send out.
I think that should be fine as long as you adhere to the guidelines, but
Yeah.
I would need more clarification on where you intend to send it, because we're not going to be able to send it to everybody.
And we're not going to mail 110,000 copies. So, yeah, I appreciate that. Maybe we could explore that and see what it looks like, and thank you. Are there any other questions?
You made me think of something. On the instructions for going to Oakland, if somebody could put on there that it's dock 25, kind of,
Dock 25, sure.
because that's all, there's 2 docks and that's all it is, and kind of maybe highlight that it's 11 to 7. I was there at 10 o'clock in the morning waiting on them to get there, so I didn't realize that they wouldn't be there I thought regular hours, like they have at most of them.
It is, the hours are on there though, right? You just want us to highlight?
I just
Okay,
didn't, I totally missed them.
sure.
Yes.
So Stephanie, can you send me the flyers, or I guess they're posted, again, because this movie night is new for Marina Bay?
Is your mic on?
Oh, I'm sorry.
You want to use this one?
Could you send the news or the update on the movie nights for Marina Bay? Because this is new, and so residents don't know about it. And there was also another announcement about, which is also new for Marina Bay, is having lunch for the kids, because there's a summer program for lunches. And so that's also coming to Marina Bay. And that, again, is new for folks in Marina Bay.
Okay, I'm not aware of the lunches one. I don't know if you know which
Yeah,
entity.
that was announced by Contra Costa, the new school district.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and I did request the flyer. I wasn't able, for the movie night, I wasn't able to get it before today's meeting, but I will send that as well.
Okay, thank you.
Well, thank you for your presentation. I guess moving on to the Neighbor to Neighbor grant.
Sure.
Good evening, everybody. Alexis Grace, just going to give some updates about events and past events. So first, want to start with the past Into and Month events. We had Shields Reed, Spring into Play and Fun with Neighbors. Laurel Park also had a Walk in the Park event. Also, we had an end-to-end neighborhood council presidents in action meeting, which happens on a monthly basis. So any of our neighborhood council presidents for end-to-end, if you want any information on that, please reach out to me so I can give you some more information on those monthly meetings. Lastly, just this past Saturday, Panhandle Annex had their emergency preparedness event at BTA, where CARE, Chevron, Fire Station 64, and Richmond CRT for Panhandle also were there to table. That was a great turnout, and they were able to give out emergency preparedness backpacks. Next is upcoming events and some announcements. First is I want to encourage our neighborhood councils to use End-to-End for any national night out events. For more questions about that, please reach out to me and I can give you a little bit more information on that. Also want to give a notice / heads up to all my neighborhood councils who haven't planned any events. Please be on the lookout. I will be sending out an email to just describe some of the next steps when it comes to the next part of this grant and what that is going to look like. So please, like I said, be on the lookout. For upcoming events, first want to start with Saturday, June 21st, Hilltop District will be hosting an emergency preparedness event at Summer Lane Clubhouse. That same day as well, Saturday, June 21st, North and East Neighborhood Council will be hosting Art in the Park at Burge Park. That Sunday as well, June 22nd, Atchison Village will be hosting a neighbor to neighbor meeting neighbor in a CRT gathering at Atchison Village Hall. Next Wednesday, June 18th, this is a citywide End-to-End event hosted by me. We'll be hiking for pancakes at Marina Bay Trail from 9:30 to 1 p.m. I also have flyers to show for this event up here, and I will leave them up here as well. This will be held at Lucretia Edwards Park. And lastly is there will be in collaboration with the Recreation Department, we also will be hosting a July 3rd event called Stars, Stripes, and Social Vibes for a chance for you guys to get to know your neighbors a little bit more within the city of Richmond.
Thank you. Do we have any questions, comments, or concerns about the Neighbor to Neighbor grant that she may be able to answer? No, nothing online? Seeing none, thank you, ladies. Greatly appreciated. Thank you for being so patient.
Thank you.
So moving on, Public Works. Carlos Castro, are you on the line?
Yes, I am.
Carlos.
Good evening, RNCC members. So here's the updates that I have for the week. We completed the Gaynor Ave project, the paving project. We went from 13th to 23rd. 90% of the striping and markings is done on that project. We still have one crosswalk to install and one bar at the yield marking on 13th Street. We also have a few more sweeping signs that we want to change because, like I mentioned at the previous meetings, now when we pave a street, we also want to give you all new signs and markings also. Last week, the crew was on 17th Street between Coalinga and Costa and on 20th Street between Gaynor and Coalinga. Both of those streets received new asphalt. We'll be coming in with new markings and new signage there as well. This week, we're doing some, well, real quick, we also did some base repairs on South 23rd Street between Cutting and Ohio. There's certain sections that were just not holding up well there. So we went there and took out about 4 inches of asphalt and put it back so that it'll last a little bit longer. This week, we're doing spot repairs at different spots throughout the city. One of them is going to be on Richmond Parkway. We have about 100 tons of asphalt that we want to do in the number 1 lane coming from 80 going towards Lakeside. So if you're driving in that area, please be mindful, slow for the cone zone. The guys will be working there and everybody drives fast there. So just try to slow down if you can and spread the word. Next week, we'll be doing some spot repairs again as we get ready for the Juneteenth parade and festival. We'll be focused on our efforts on those areas, making sure that everything is smooth and looks good for the parade and for the festival. Also, next week, Thursday, the 19th, is the Juneteenth holiday, so there won't be any sweeping services that day. The city offices will be closed. When we come back on the week of the 23rd, our plan is to start by paving Hensley from Willard to 7th Street. That's a pretty large job. It's most likely going to take 2 weeks there. And then we want to do a couple school zone streets that we have on our list while it's the summertime and the schools are out. For the signs and lines crew, they're following closely behind the paving crew, like I said, with all new signs, markings, and striping. They've also been doing other various projects throughout the city. We're trying to refresh all of our signs and markings along the Juneteenth parade route so that it just presents well while everyone's walking. We've also refreshed crosswalks on the Parkway recently. We did Hilltop Drive. We're gonna go back this week and do the crosswalks on Parkway at Atlas. We're refreshing a couple of the marking arrows there also. Let me check my notes. And we've got about 10 brand new stop signs that we're installing throughout the city that's coming from our engineering division. So you might see those pop up. When we do install a brand new stop sign, we install a stop ahead about 150 feet before you get to it, plus new flags on the pole. Those will be there for 2 weeks just to draw everybody's attention to it so that they see it and don't run it. To update something from the last meeting, the signs that I mentioned before for the Hilltop, Fairmead Hilltop area and the Parchester Village, those are still getting fabricated. Hopefully we can install those after July 4th because between the Juneteenth and July 4th events, we have a lot of work to do. So hopefully after July 4th, they're delivered and we can start installing those throughout in those neighborhoods. Our sweeping is running at normal operations. We were able to do a couple extra sweeps between now and the last meeting. We were able to sweep on the Parkway, and then we've had our fair share of special events that we've been sweeping. Also, one of them was the Zip Trip coming. There's been a couple other festivals that we sweep beforehand. There's the Juneteenth Carnival that's getting set up right now on 25th Street between Barrett and Nevin. We've made a couple extra sweeps. Just again, next Thursday is the Juneteenth holiday, and there won't be any sweeping services there. That's the updates that I have.
Thank you. Any questions?
Yes. I wanted to pay a little respect here. There was a gentleman he's part of your crew. He was doing the graffiti painting, and I had mentioned to you about that was maybe a month ago, about where the plug tattoo is. They're moved, but it turned into graffiti, and there were some broken windows. Anyway, is there a gentleman by the name of, is it Victor?
Yes, he's in the abatement team. He does the graffiti
Yes.
painting.
Well,
Yes.
he did an excellent. He was doing, not only did he do an excellent job, but the crew, the folks that they had there doing the windows and everything and all the stuff, he basically communicated to them that they sent the word to the owner that they needed to keep it up. And I was really impressed. I was like, wow, this guy, if he doesn't do graffiti, he can go into your management team. He was good. He took care of business. And I wanted to
Victor's
say,
very good,
that
yes.
they did spray it again. So if you don't mind, if you happen to pass on the corner of San Pablo and Solano, they did spray it again. But if they have the paint, we'll stay on top of it. I appreciate all you guys' work.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'll
Anyone
let
else?
Victor know.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Carlos, I understand you're putting in some more speed bumps on Garvin between
Not that I
23rd
know
and
of. It could
28th?
be somebody. Say that again. I'm sorry.
Between 23rd and 28th? Somebody said that the street was being marked, so I don't know. I haven't been by, I haven't looked.
Not. It was not being marked by us, so it might be
Okay,
being marked by engineering, but not by us.
okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
Okay, so Fairmead Hilltop, signs are being made. Some people are bragging that they didn't get tickets and their neighbors did. So I don't know how that works. One side of the street gets tickets and the other doesn't. I don't know how that works, but anyway, we're looking forward to all our new signs. Thank you for working so hard on them. And I wanted to mention to you, because we have a new school board trustee and she lives on 21st Street. And on 21st Street, she's saying they have street sweeping every week. One side is Monday and the other side is Thursday, between McDonald and Bissell.
21st between McDonald and Bissell. It could be part of our commercial routes. If it's commercial, it gets swept every week.
Every week, regardless?
Yeah.
They said they have to move their
Yes.
vehicles
I
every
mean,
week.
unless it's a holiday. Yes.
Well, I'll let her know. She'll be happy.
Yeah. If it's a commercial route, I'll check that out. 21st between McDonald and Bissell.
Yes.
Okay.
Next to the,
Yeah, next to Grip. Yeah.
well, it's next to AC.
Yeah,
It's right next
that
to
probably is a commercial route.
AC Transit's bus is right there. Their bus terminals, their bus storage is right there.
And speaking of street sweeping, there's been a lot of complaints about neighbors putting out garbage cans to save their parking spots, or and a street sweeper has to go around them. Do they get fined as well, or do you know?
I do not know. I do not know that, but I don't think so.
Okay, that's interesting. Well, I guess we want to thank you for your time and waiting for so long. Appreciate everything you do. And we'll look forward to those new signs in Parchester and Fairmead.
Yep.
Thank you,
All right.
Carlos.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Carlos.
So that puts us to old business, and old business, we are still working on new policies. And then new business, we're working on solidifying some bylaws for a couple of neighborhood councils so we can bring them in. And Cordell.
And I have new business too, so I'm gonna reiterate my comments from last month. So I did have some suggestions to bring forward for the board to consider, to invite some speakers to come for a future meeting. So is to have Cindy Howe to come speak to you all about diabetes, prevention of diabetes for older adults, because I was listening to her presentation at the Commission on Aging meeting, and I said, this would be a topic to bring forward to the board, and that's one. Then the other suggested topic is to have Logan Robinson to come speak to us at a later time to tell us more about what Home Match does, like how for older adults to feel like feel isolated. So those are the couple of suggestions that I had bring forward to the board.
I appreciate your sensitivity and the way you look at us. Thank you. So the next upcoming RNCC board meeting is June, this says June 16th here, but
It's June 14th, July 14th.
I mean, yeah, it should be July 14th, 2025. It'll be on Zoom. Yeah, I'm sorry. The next general meeting will be July 14th, 2025. Yeah, and the upcoming e-board meeting will be Monday, the 16th, and it's on Zoom. Yes. And I guess if anybody has anything they want to close the meeting with, I will just say, God bless Sly Stone from Sly and the Family Stone. He passed away. And I want to thank KCR TV and Brian Bland for sitting in and recording this meeting. And this meeting can be found on KCR TV. And happy Pride Month. And happy Juneteenth. Stay safe. Thank you, everybody.